Hello, my fellow revolutionaries, and welcome to the Leadership Revolution. My name is Audrey Prosper. If this is your first time joining us, we want you to know that our vision is to help others discover clarity, embrace vulnerability, and experience freedom in their relationship with others and with God. I know that you're going to receive a word today that will bless you and the people around you. I want to invite you to be fully present when you're listening and judge later, because we actually can't do both at the same time. Now, I'd like to direct your attention to our host, David Prosper. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is David with the Leadership Revolution. I have a special segment today. I am talking to two actual shepherds, and we're going to be talking about shepherd leadership. This is very different because oftentimes we read about how to lead like a shepherd, but how often do we get to speak to actual shepherds? And the word shepherd actually means to lead, to guide, to nurture, and to protect. I have here Chantel and Justin Flynn, who are going to be talking to us a little bit more about how to lead like a shepherd. Would you guys just introduce yourselves, Justin, Chantel, like talk about where you were born? What was it like growing up? A fun fact about yourself, so our listeners can get a little bit to know you a little bit more.
Sure.
Whoever's
Go ahead.
Me. I'm Chantel Flynn. We are in Tennessee, but I actually was born and raised in West Virginia. And my papa had a farm. So I kind of grew up on the farm, at least learned a little bit. He had cattle. So I moved down here to be a teacher and met this guy at Walmart. He was getting some electrical supplies and I was getting some classroom supplies. Asked me out. I was like, no, absolutely not. And so, but because of mutual friends, they were like, you've got to meet this guy. He's a wonderful Christian guy. You know, you really messed up saying no to some guy at Walmart. We got to know each other, and the rest was history. But it took a whole lot of God to bring this together, because I'm a Sir Thriver, so I came out of a little bit that made me very hesitant. So Jesus really had to work a whole lot on me to get me ready for this guy. So, but we are here in Tennessee. We have two little girls. We raise sheep, which we never thought we'd ever do, but here we are doing it, and we love it.
That's awesome.
So I've lived here my whole life. I grew up in Knoxville, Tennessee, and moved to where we are now before we got married. I actually moved in here to remodel the house, and I was going to rent it because this was my grandparents' house where I grew up. Pretty much my whole life, I would come up here and stay a lot in the summertime because it's out in the country. There's mountains, creeks, rivers, everything a boy would love. So I loved it here. So moved here single, and that's when I met Chantel, and on aisle 14 at Walmart.
Remember that?
No, we joke about that a lot, but that you can find anything at Walmart, But no, we met and we dated several years, and then of course we turned this house into a home, remodeled it for us, built a barn, built my office here. I'm an electrician by trade, started the company the same time I moved here, and had that company since 1998. And I'm just, like I said, I do electrical work and commercial and residential. And so I guess we met, got married, moved here, or she moved in with me, of course, once we got married and had two little girls. And I wanted cattle, and we got to talking about cattle and how we probably didn't have enough property for cattle. So she had the idea of sheep, and I was all aboard with it.
You hear beautiful stories about sheep, and sheep were much more manageable. They made sense.
Yeah.
So
I think she had a plan for all this. I never knew it, because she somehow works out. She somehow works ideas and things out to, really, really good ideas. So she's done good.
That is awesome. So you said you gave Walmart an endorsement, by the way. You said you can find anything at Walmart in aisle 14, which is amazing. But you talked a little bit about your spiritual walk. When did you both find God and your walk?
Well, I grew up a preacher's daughter, so it was kind of built in, but it didn't take me until I was kind of on my own to really see what I believed apart from my family. So probably when I moved away at 19, I really got to know God. I really got to know him because my life was hard and it was really tough. And I've never felt the presence of Jesus like I did during that time when I needed him the most. So I still feel him now, and in the joy that we have now. We've it's been a challenge, but we've been through so much, and I can't imagine going through any of it without God. I just can't. I don't see how people do it, and I couldn't have done it. I could not have gone through anything that I've gone through in my life without him. And we were just talking the other day that this Easter, with everybody being quarantines and stuff, this is so exciting, and I don't want to go back to normal because we are finally having more Easter, in this home than we ever have before. We've celebrated Holy Week more than we've ever. We've gotten to know a little bit more. We had a Good Friday service last night with communion, and it's kind of exciting to see that we're still growing. We still are continuing this relationship with Jesus, and as we get to talk about sheep, the sheep have done nothing but just strengthen that relationship and understanding why Jesus used those parables in the Bible, because we are sheep. We are sheep and he is our shepherd. And it really is neat to parallel that.
Yeah. I don't think there's any coincidence that Jesus used sheep as parables as an example. I think this book that I've been reading, it's very similar to us, and how we act as to how they act, and how the shepherd acts and how God acts, how God is. So I think there's a lot of parallels, and I'm similar. I didn't grow up in a preacher's house, but I grew up in church my whole life. Was there every time the doors were opened. My grandparents were there. Even when I was here with them in the summertime, I would be at church with them every Sunday and every Wednesday. And similar situation. I think I was just living the Christian life, and didn't really realize what it meant until I got older, probably in my 20s, and made a lot of bad decisions, but thank goodness I'm not in jail or never got arrested or anything, I probably should have been a bunch, but
beating the odds.
Yeah, that's always a good thing. Yeah. If you were arrested, you wouldn't be on this interview today, and you wouldn't be married and tending the sheep. And
exactly, we were actually talking about that last night, how some bad decisions, and how I'm just thankful that God brought me through those decisions the way He did, but yeah, I finally got slapped into shape there a little bit, and still mess up every day, and but I'm a Jesus follower, but I mess up daily, but thank goodness He loves me enough to forgive me daily. So,
and that takes us directly, you talked about messing up daily and your walk with Christ. Now talk to me about the shepherding and how the sheep, go astray, and how do you redirect a sheep back to where you're trying to get them to?
Food. No, go ahead.
No, totally a bucket of food. They want fed, and you can put that as Christians too. Sometimes we go astray, and God has to get our attention by feeding us something different and getting our attention. So we have to get their attention first. And the way we do that is take a bucket and we shake that bucket and we tell them we've got feed. We don't give it to them yet. We just tell them we got it, and we get them to follow us. We have found out the hard way, you can't chase sheep. You can't chase them. You can't make them do what you want them to do. They will not. They will fight you. They will buck you. They will run. They're strong.
We've had several marriage building sessions.
Yes, I was going to get to that. Like, how is that applicable in the marriage life, right?
Oh,
What you just talked about, the sheep, how can that relate to relationships and marriage and friendships?
Yeah.
well, I'm going to talk again. I really do try to let him be the leader. You know, he's the leader of this home. He is my man. So when we go out there to work with the sheep, though, we're both leaders. We both bring different skills to taking care of those sheep. You know, he's the strength, he's the muscle, he's the assertive one, you know, and he can't be aggressive with these sheep. He's got to work. We got to work together, and we have to be patient. We have to let them come to us. We have to talk to them in a way that's different, and which is funny because I'm the fiery one. But at the time when we're sheep, I'm really patient, quiet, and we have to be able to talk to each other, and we have to listen to each other to get them to follow us and do what they're supposed to do. If we're fighting, they are anxious. They know it. They feel it. They won't listen to us. And if we try to be aggressive with them or make them do it, they won't, will they?
No.
I mean, I wish we had a video of the first time we ever worked with him, because, you know, he had in mind what he was wanting to do. I had in my mind what I needed to do. We weren't together. We had a sheep, I'm pretty sure, jumped over his shoulder. I mean, how tall are you? 6?
6 foot. I'm pretty sure our neighbors have the video. You know?
Wow.
So it was rough. It was rough.
That's
you learn
powerful.
what not to do.
You learn what not to do when initially your idea of leading or shepherding goes out the window. So
Yes.
in essence, would you agree that you have to adjust as a shepherd to the sheep's needs? Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, because depending on what it is that's going on, you know, the most aggressive that we've got to get with them are when the vet is here. You know, we'll have a vet come out once a year to help us. You know, when they're sick, or if something's going on, or if we feel like there's something we need to do, we'll do it. But the biggest wrangling of all the sheep, we have about 17 sheep. So we'll wrangle them in the barn, and they're going crazy, and they're mad, and they're upset. That's probably the toughest day for us. So, and the last time we had the vet, I may be going off here, but the last time we had the vet, I really liked how this kind of paralleled with the Bible too. The sheep were upset. They were in the barn, and they don't like to be in the barn. They don't like to be completely sheltered. They like to be able to see, and they like to keep their back to the wall, and they like to be able to see out on the field or out where they can just kind of keep an eye on everything. They do not like to be pinned in and closed in. And so they're being really loud and crazy. And I would just go in there and stand with them. And all I would do is just stand with them. And they would be quiet.
Yeah, calm down.
They were completely quiet, weren't they?
Yeah.
So until the vet got here, I would just go in there and stand, and they would just get quiet.
Yeah.
And just be at peace.
They can sense if she's okay, if she's calm, if she's with them, then they're at peace.
Wow,
So.
that is so powerful. If we think about when we're in God's presence, then we experience peace. But when we're not in His presence, that's when we feel the anxiety, the depression, the isolation, the worry, and all those things. So it's such a powerful parallel between the two. As a shepherd, an actual shepherd, and in God being our shepherd, when we're in His presence or when He's near, we're at peace. And then you talked about sheep do not like to be confined in those spaces. And I often say to our kids is that freedom without structure is chaos, but structure without freedom is suppression. And what you echoed was the need for freedom. Can you talk to us a little bit more about like how that even more correlate to relationships as far as the freedom and not being confined?
Well, I think that just going back to that first marriage building episode that we had, or activity, you know, I think that, you know, I've grown up and even kind of experienced some of the things of having the man be the leader in your home. You know, he is my leader, But as a great leader, sometimes that leader listens or allows the rest to be independent or to be strong-willed or to have a mind of their own, and so when he does that for me, I don't have as much anxiety. I don't want to be controlled. I don't want to be told what to do, or I want him to be the leader, but I want him to have me right there beside him, and so, and I think he does do that, and I think he does a good job at that. And I think that's what sheep are saying. They need the shepherd. They want the shepherd. They do want that structure that you were talking about, but they also want to say, I want to do what I want to do, and I want to be able to see. I want to be able to see the field. I want to be able to see where you're going with me. Like, I don't want you just to blindly take me somewhere. I want to be in on it. I want to know what's going on. Is that
that's perfect.
So Justin, that's powerful. Justin, I'm curious, these two words, push and pull, what are the difference to you as being a shepherd?
You can't do either one.
Yeah, you can't do either one, but you can persuade them to. You can push them in a direction that they want to go, that that's good for them. Or pull, I guess, the same way. But yeah, you have to put their needs. You have to put their needs ahead of yours for the most part. Unless there's danger involved, and then they may not understand it. But it's another. I mean, there's literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of parallels, between us and God. God, the shepherd, sees where we're going, and we don't. This over here may look better than that, but God knows that there's danger there. So it's our job to lead them to where safety is.
That is true. So I'm curious, what allowed the sheep to trust both of you to be their shepherd? Because you're not a shepherd if you don't have sheep, right?
That's correct, yeah.
It took a while to build a relationship with them. When we first got them, they all went as far away from us as they could. And they would come to feed, but they would wait till we got out of the way. But now, I mean, he can take a bucket and they will follow him. So talk about pushing and pulling. I mean, all he has to do is have what they want and just lead, and they will follow him and follow him anywhere he wants them to go. But it took us a little while, didn't it, to build that. We had to, they had to know that we were safety, that we were protection, that we were food, that we were going to supply their needs, and they checked out the farm. They made sure that they were fenced in. I mean, they checked it all out before they really let their guard down to trust us. And so, but now they do. And when we were talking the other day, I don't know if you noticed, but they all just came running. Mm-hmm. And when I went to feed them, they were almost knocking me over because they know us now. All we have to do is go out and say something or rattle a chain. They know his voice and they know my voice, and they'll come to us.
Yeah, they'll pretty much eat. Most of them anyway will eat out of our hand. So there again, they have to be at peace. They have to be comfortable.
Wow. So that's, you had to build trust within the sheep for them to follow you. How long did that take?
I don't know, maybe a month, I'm guessing. What do you think?
It took a little while. I mean, it did. We just had to be consistent about going out there, and we didn't just feed them. We would feed them, but then we would stay. We would feed them, but then kind of inch closer to them and just stand there. That's all we did, was just stand there.
Yeah.
And eventually they just got used to us being close to them. And a lot of times, I know it sounds silly, but a lot of times that is what we do, is we just stand there. We're just there around them, so they know that we're in the area.
So what I'm pulling away is, we have, in order to be a shepherd leader, we have to be consistent. We have to be present. We have to meet the needs of the sheep or meet the needs of the people. And it takes time in order to build trust, but trust is built through consistency. And also that we have to provide a space that they feel safe, they feel certain, in order to roam around and not have to worry. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you totally just said both of our needs, like what I need from him and what he needs from me. That's exactly what we need. I think that a lot of us need that to feel secure.
Wow.
So
That's powerful. So I'm curious, you said the other day too, when you were talking about knowing their cry. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly.
yeah.
And how do you get to know each individual sheep's cry and what they need?
Well, you said it. You have to be consistent and being there, being present. If we don't ever go out there but just to feed them, we're not going to know them. And we have to know them. We have to know each one of them and observe them every single day, because sheep they're hardy, but they're also so fragile. They won't show any signs of being sick sometimes, but then all of a sudden you'll have this sheep that wanders away, and that's another story, just that will wander away and just be ill and be in need of immediate attention. And if you don't know your sheep and you don't know each one of them and their moods and because they do kind of have a personality, and they do all sound different. It's funny how different they sound when they start to bleat in the morning. Like if they see us, they'll start yelling, and I talk with them back. But
can you do one of the sounds for our listeners?
You go right ahead. You're good. He is being nice. He's embarrassed. He can do it really good. One of them sounds like a man. It's like really low. Like
there's one that sounds like they're just getting mutilated. They're getting. It's awful. Well, so first thing in the morning, you go out at 6 a.m. and that's what you hear. I'm sure all of our neighbors. What's going on?
We'll see a recording of that one.
Okay. That's powerful. You said you had to spend time with them, not just meet their needs, but just be around them, be present, and to listen and to watch and to observe. Now, it's easy, right? Because those are sheeps. And as far as relationships, because if I can assume correctly, these sheeps don't provide anything to you necessarily that can change your life outside of just, giving you a different variety of the day. So how could we do that as leaders when the people we serve cannot serve us?
That's amazing, because that takes a true heart for leadership, because sometimes people don't give back, or like you said, the sheep, they can't give us anything. They can't, give a pedicure or hairstyle or back rub, or they do nothing for us that's nice. But they do bring us joy, and I think that that's probably God, because we don't do enough for God, and we don't do anything for him. But I feel like I understand, since these sheep bring us so much joy just to watch and just to love and to care for. I can't imagine times that by, infinity on how God loves and cares for us, because there's no way that we can do really anything for God that would measure up, and I feel like we are the sheep. We are totally the sheep. He's the shepherd, and he loves us anyway. And I think that we bring him the joy the same way, just to be present and just to watch us and just to see that we're okay, and to be there when we're not okay.
That's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Justin, did you want to add a little bit more to that?
No, that's perfect. That really is. I don't think I've ever heard her say that. That's great.
It's interesting what an interview can do. It brings out the best in us, it's beautiful. And you mentioned, Passover, going back to what you said earlier, how this is a good representation of it. And I remember in the good book of Exodus, when they had the first Passover, that everybody was actually in their homes. And it wasn't at church. And you mentioned not going back to that norm. So going and then fast forwarding back to when you mentioned the sheep separating themselves when they feel ill and they're about to die. Now, how does that correlate to God passing literally during Passover to save the 99? Like, what does that mean to you all?
Yeah. Go ahead. She said this several times. I have heard this, and it's
we've had several Bible study groups come up that have studied Psalm 23.
Yeah.
But this was our first lesson. I mean, our first lesson in shepherding. We had not had the sheep long, and one little girl, one mama, she was a mama, I think, when she walked away. I mean, she left the group, and it was odd behavior. We still didn't know what we were doing, but we just knew that wasn't right. It wasn't right. So I went up and sat with her. Justin came and got me like at 11 o'clock and said, honey, you can't, you got to come in. you can't sit with her all night. You know, there's nothing we can do, because we didn't know what to do. We didn't know as much as we do. And we still are learning a lot.
Yeah.
But she separated herself to sacrifice herself for the rest of the herd, for the rest of the flock. Because when there's someone that's weak or someone that's sick, they make themselves open to predators to come and devour them, you know, and to take the rest of that flock. So they do that because they know that they're weakening the herd, and they leave so they could go to die. So they leave and they protect the rest of them. And I mean, I bawled in that field with that mama ewe, because I realized for the first time really what leaving the 99 meant. Because the 99 are okay. They are okay. I mean, the shepherd's still there. They still have the shepherd, but they're fine. That one, though, is not fine. She needs immediate care, immediate help, immediate, you know, whatever it is, medicine, love. You know, if it's too late, maybe just the shepherd has to sit there and let her pass and let her go. But just to be there for that one. So leaving the 99 for that one, and I've been that one. I mean, I've been that one, so I get it. And I bawled thinking about that's it. That's what you're talking about, God. I mean, the 99 are fine. That one is not fine, and it's immediate. It's you've got to intervene immediately for that one. If not, that one is gone. That one is going to die. That one is going to be devoured up by a predator. And if that one would have stayed with the 99, if she would have been selfish, she would have put that 99 in danger. And so she left, she sacrificed herself, and that's when she needed the shepherd the most. And so that was an amazing first lesson for me to learn.
Yeah.
That's powerful. That's you said it so well. When shepherd leaders are sacrificial, or shepherd leaders are sacrificial, they're selfless, they're intentional, they're patient, they're kind, they're gentle, they create spaces where you feel safety and belonging. They build trust through consistency, and that is how Jesus led, and he's one of the greatest shepherds of all. So we're coming up to a close. Now, if there is any advice or any encouragement from being a shepherd to our shepherd, because our organization is called Shepherd Revolution, what advice would you give to lead better as a shepherd, highlighting everything we talked about?
Now, if you could have shepherd friends, if that's a thing, but mentors, you know, that has been pretty big with us. You can't have enough. You can't get enough information beforehand or even after. I mean, you never stop learning. So that has been pretty big for us to have other friends in our life that are shepherds, and to maybe go to involve yourself in things. And she's taken some classes and got certifications, you know, and she was able to meet a lot of people who has gave her years of advice that they've had and experience that they can share with her.
Yeah, we're not the first shepherds. I mean, there are experienced people that have already done this, you know, gone down this path.
Yeah.
So probably a lot like your academy, you're going to have some experienced people, and maybe, you know, maybe that we're not experienced. You can learn from the mistakes too, but it's important. Yeah. What he's saying is it's important to have others to be able to consult with, to learn from, to encourage each other. I mean, I have some sheep friends that will just laugh together about things that happen, and it's encouraging. It's encouraging to know that we're not alone.
Yeah.
So building a herd within your own herd, that is powerful, and to have shepherd friends and shepherd leaders in your life. Now, thank you again, Justin and Chantel, for taking the time to help us learn a little bit more about, the day in the life of a shepherd leader. Because we can read it, we can read the metaphors, but it's different when we actually speak to an actual shepherd. Now, if our listeners want to get in contact with you, how can they follow you?
Well, we're on Instagram as Huckleberry Flynn's.
Okay.
I do post a lot of farm pictures on there. So, and our email is huckleberryflynnfarm@gmail.com. But you're welcome to follow that Instagram. We post a lot of sheep and alpaca and horse pictures. And we both try to add a little bit of scripture to it, maybe some stories of what we've learned, because we are still learning. I mean, we are, neither one of us said that we are ready to talk to you today to act like we know it all, because we don't. We are still learning, and it has humbled both of us just how much and how wonderful this parallels to how Jesus loves us.
Yeah, it brings alive a lot of the parables, that we read in the Bible. So that's pretty interesting.
Yes,
and we are so thankful that something that we chose to do as a hobby or to maintain our property, or something we chose to do, has brought other believers that want to know. We're humbled by the Bible study groups. So we're humbled to talk to you today that want to learn and want to know. I mean, Jesus used sheep as a parable. He says that we're sheep, and we are. And I think that it's really, really neat that we've been able to share that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I know our listeners are going to benefit in such a great way, and you're going to shift the way they think about shepherd leadership. And I just want to thank you again for taking the time on this Saturday morning. This is, again, you can find this show every other Wednesday on Apple, Spotify, and Google. You can find it anywhere. And I just want you all to remember something that's very important. If we as leaders are to set ourselves apart, we must start by leading through love, which always comes from the heart.
Thank you for listening today. We hope you are blessed. To share your leadership experience, you can text us directly at 414-552-9598. Again, 414-552-9598. And don't forget to subscribe to enjoy more messages just like this one. On behalf of Shepherd Revolution, we look forward to connecting with you every other Wednesday. Now go and revolutionize the way you lead.